Hey, what up? It's Matty Mock 60 here, coming at you with a hand review. These are going to be two big time bluffs here, and hopefully, after watching these, you'll be more ready to pull the trigger on some big boy bluffs, some real ballsy shit. If you know what I'm saying, and you'll be able to make some more money after watching this video and go for some crazy shit. All right, so we're starting. We raise with ace-6 suited in the cutoff, pretty standard, to three big blinds, and we get a call out of the small blind. I smell a fish. Anyways, yeah, so calling out of the small blind is pretty trash. I would not recommend it. You should not do it, except with very specific hands. Like, sometimes in multi-way pots with pocket pairs, but it's very rarely that you should call out a small blind. You should be three betting or folding your entire range, pretty much. So this is already alerting me to the fact that this guy might be a fish. And what he does next on this flop of three of diamonds, nine of clubs, king of clubs, is he leads out for 2/3 of the pot. This is very fishy. I don't like when he does this. It feels to me, it signals to me that he's trying to win this pot right then and there without a hand with showdown value. So with maybe a nine, a three, or a flush draw. And to me, this signals a ton of weakness. I think he's very weak here. I think he's just trying to bully me and win this pot. So I feel I have to punish him. And I raise it up to 61 cents, and my opponent calls. And we are off to the turn of the three of spades. Doesn't change much, except if he has a three. And my opponent checks to me. And what should I do here? I think it's imperative that I have to charge his flush draws, put pressure on his 9x, and continue this bluff. So I bet $1.17, was about 75% of the pot, and my opponent calls. Five of spades on the river. This is a complete blank. This card does not matter. He shouldn't really have any fives. And the flush draw does not get there, which is one of the main hands that I originally put him on. So I'm feeling pretty good. He checks to me. That feels good. And I have a big decision here whether to check or rip it all in. And honestly, I thought about checking for a little bit, but I didn't want to give him a free showdown with a pair of nines, pocket eights, pocket sevens, or pocket sixes. So I decide to put my whole stack in there, risk it all on a big time bluff with nothing but ace high, and my opponent rewards me by folding. And we take that one down. So let's see what Pio Solver thinks about this. So to start, you might notice that this looks a little different. And I would like to first explain what a solver is. A solver is a computer program that runs what's called poker simulations, where the computer will play itself until it feels as though it has played itself enough to figure out what to do in every situation um, in the hand. So, but for this certain flop, since nobody leads out of position on a board like that and stack sizes like that, I decided to force the solver to bet. However, the solver picked this 12 sizing, 12 cents, instead of 21 cents like my opponent did, because it's a better sizing, and my opponent is choosing a very poor bet sizing. So we're not going to be able to see a ton of colors, and we're not going to be able to see his range throughout the sim, but that's okay because we're just more focused on what we can control and how we did. So he leads for 2/3 of the pot. And what should I be doing here? Firstly, let's look at our value hands. Aces, we're going to raise for value. King nine suited, we're raising. That's top two pair. Set of nines, we're raising. Set of threes, we're raising. And top set, we're mostly calling, but sometimes raising. And what should we be doing with king, ace, six of diamonds? All right. Ace, six of diamonds, we're calling 7% of the time, folding the vast majority of the time, 76% of the time, and we are raising only 15% of the time. So if I were to do this bluff 50% of the time, I would be in trouble. I would be over bluffing and I would be very exploitable. But I go for this raise 63 this time. Uh, and it's okay to do this sometimes, but you don't want to be going crazy, bluffing every hand all the time because your opponents will figure you out. And so we do that raise, we call, we get a call, and then we see the three of spades, and my opponent checks. And what should I be doing with a6 of diamonds here? We're betting big 100% of the time, which is exactly what I did. So the solver, once you start this bluff, you have to follow through on the turn. It's betting huge with all its bluffs. It's also betting huge with value hands like pocket threes and pocket nines and aces. But with our bluffs, we're betting big. We're betting giant on this turn. So that's exactly what I did, and I get a call. And then we see the five of spades. My opponent checks to me yet again. And what are we doing with our a6 suited? A6 of diamonds. We are betting it all 70% of the time, 69% of the time, actually. And we are checking 30% of the time. And I think that it's definitely the solver prefers the bet, especially with these other a6 of spades and a6 of hearts. Um, but you know, it's a great bet. I think you have to jam this all in. I made the right decision. He could have had a pair of nines, a stubborn pair of pocket sevens, something like that with very little showdown value, but he would have won if I had checked it back. So my jam all in was good, and the solver likes it. Bet and fold, and I won the pot. Great. All right, here's bluff number 2. We are dealt ace king on the button, and we face a under the gun open. We raise it up to 45 cents. It folds back to the under the gun player who calls. We see a flop of 6 of clubs, 9 of clubs, and the 2 of hearts. My opponent checks to me, and as with all three bet pots, I will be continuation betting for 1/3 of the pot. I have 2 overcards and a backdoor flush draw. My opponent calls. And we see a very interesting turn card, the Queen of Clubs, completing the flush. My opponent checks to me, and with my King of Clubs blocker, I will continue to bet. I also have 2 overcards and a flush draw. And I bet about half the pot, 88 cents, and my opponent goes for a call. And we see a 10 of hearts on the river. So this completes some straight draws like Jack 8, Ace Jack. There's a lot of 2 pairs my opponent could have. And he generally does have a lot of strong hands on this board. You know, Ace Queen, King Queen, Queen 10, Queen Jack, Queen 9 suited maybe. But he checks to me, and I have a big decision. Should I check back my ace high and show it down? Or should I use my King of Clubs blocker and make a big time bluff and bluff all in? And I'm sure, judging by the title of the video, you guys know what I did. I stuck it all in, baby. And my opponent, fortunately for me, folded. So let's go to Pile Solver and see why I did that and see if it was correct. So firstly, my opponent, he is checking basically his entire range. As you can see, the whole range is green, meaning check, which is what he does. And I bet 32. And let's see what it's doing with Ace King offsuit, more specifically with the King of Clubs. So we're betting 64% of the time with the King of Clubs, as you can see in the bottom right corner. The king of clubs is a very important card. As you can see, any ace king with the either the ace of clubs or the king of clubs is betting far more frequently than an ace king combo without a club. So it looks like the ace of clubs is betting about 55% of the time, and the king of clubs is betting about 65% of the time. So this king of clubs is a very good hand to bet with, which is what I do. And my opponent calls. And we see the queen of clubs. And my opponent checks it back to me. All right, and let's look at my options in the bottom right corner again. I had ace king with the king of clubs. Again here, we're looking at these class of hands, and it's about 60% betting at that half pot size that I used, or roughly a little over half pot. So it looks like a good bet, but either way, you can play it either way here. However, with the ace of clubs, which is not part of this hand, but with the ace of clubs, you should be betting almost exclusively. You should basically just be betting. I'm sorry. Yeah, so with the ace of clubs, you definitely want to be betting, and with the king of clubs, you mostly want to be betting. So I bet half the pot, and I see a call with a 10 of hearts on the river, with my opponent checking it to me. And what are we doing with my king of clubs here? So I forget which I had, whether I had the ace of spades, ace of hearts, or ace of diamonds, but either way, with the king of clubs, we're going to be betting. We're going to be betting all in almost always. Almost always. Except, I guess they don't like having the ace of hearts with 2 hearts on the board. However, this is like a small consideration. This isn't a huge deal. And yeah, so this bet all in is approved by the solver. It likes having this king of clubs blocker. So it was a very good all in, and it got rewarded with a fold. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys check out some more of my videos. And if you have a hand that you want me to analyze, please comment it down below.